That was terribly out of tune. Hello everybody, you are watching wowacoolusername, and I actually have a script today. 2 reasons. Number 1, because last video I said like 78 times and counting. Also because I have a lot to say. It's not like a full-blown script, it's kind of just an outline of what I want to hit, so I don't go off of the deep end. Today we are going to be talking about the social media platform Tumblr. Why? I don't know. My life kind of revolves around it now. I spend a lot of time on there. It's I don't know, it just shapes who I am. I've been on it for only like 2 years, and I already know majority of the Tumblr lore from even before I was there. So, you know, it's kind of crazy, and I'm definitely not qualified to talk about Tumblr, but I don't think anybody really is, because we're all just
screaming into the void there.
I have a few Tumblr statistics to help put this into perspective, that it's not just that little quirky side app that everyone forgets about. Globally, there are 519 million blogs. Now, that does not necessarily mean there's 519 million users, but that just means that's how many blogs there are on the site. There are 12.8 million blog posts every day, which is 2,000 posts every second. To put that in perspective, it's pretty crazy. There's still a lot of people on this site, so if you join this, you will not be alone. And 40% of users are Gen Z, 30% are millennials, so it's not like a young per se, but like it's got a younger side to it, though I know there are some people in their 60s on it, like Neil Gaiman. I hope I'm not getting his age wrong. I just know he's significantly older than me. And Neil Gaiman's an author. There is Tumblr etiquette, a certain amount of etiquette that goes a long way on this website and will help you fit in easier if you ever decide this will be the social media platform for you. So reblogs are preferred over likes. It's the only way you can spread your post through this site freely. We're not going to talk about Tumblr Blaze. I don't know if it's around anymore or not. They kind of just give you updates and then they snatch it away, so I have no clue if it's still around. And that's where you can like pay to have your posts seen by everybody. I don't think it lasted. Anyway, reblogs are the only way other people can see posts. And it's alright to have your blog have like 95% reblogs, unlike Twitter where you're expected to make your own tweets, which I have Twitter and I don't use it often, but when I do go on it, I click the retweet button a bit often, more than I probably should, because I'm so used to how Tumblr works. I'm probably very annoying. You especially want to reblog things like art and writing, because hearts do nothing. All they do is save your post for later, because it's in like in a separate place, like here are your liked posts. All it does is it saves the post for later, and it doesn't give the writer or the artist any feedback like, oh, people actually like this. A heart's just like, oh, well, come check this out later. You also want to make sure you tag things that have to have a trigger warning, because a lot of people came from TikTok early 2023, and I came across a bunch of posts that I did not want to see of people's self-harm scars, and they put it under like tags, then they spelt it all wrong, because they're used to the TikTok way where they have to like spell it all wrong so that it doesn't get caught, and then they don't get caught and banned. But that's not how Tumblr works. You don't need to censor bad words or anything of that nature, because Tumblr will not censor you whatsoever. People curse, number 1, all the time, and they talk about all kinds of things all the time, and there are also some pretty uncensored spicy fanfics on there. Not that I'm looking for it, obviously. I'm a minor, but yeah, you don't need to censor your tags, and it just makes harder for people who are used to how the Tumblr tagging system works, where you don't have to censor things, and it makes it harder for us who have to filter our tags out, because I had to go through and figure out which ones I didn't want to see that were spelt wrong. What are notes? So notes are kind of just like how many times it's reblogged, how many times it's been commented, and how many times it's been hearted, and it's all added together, and honestly, they don't really matter all that much, because it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. There's no clout on Tumblr. Blogs, you can have as many side blogs as you want attached to your main blog without having to make a new account. I have at least 9, but majority of users have at least 2 or 3 side blogs. Some just have their main blog and that's it. And then I know there are some people who have like 75 blogs, 1 for each niche fandom they're in. You know, you do you. Polls. Please, and I'm begging you, please reblog polls so they have a larger sample size. You can see how many people are voting on these polls compared to how many people reblog it, and it really goes to show how many people actively don't reblog things. When polls came out sometime last year, and everybody went crazy for vanilla extract, and we were making polls, and now it's been integrated into Tumblr lifestyle. We're all just used to it. You see a poll, you vote on it, you reblog, so that other people can enjoy that experience as well. But people also don't reblog. Like, if you're gonna vote on something, reblog it as well. You don't have to vote on it. If you don't vote on it, just do whatever you want. How the tagging system works, you have like at least, there's like 3 purposes for it. You can use it for organization, just like general talking and filtering. So organization, I have a tag where it's literally just hashtag, oh my god, Rain, shut up. It's literally my own posts, literally anything I say might be original posts. I also have another one for like asks, and I just have one for like cool art I like, but I don't remember which blog that was for. For talking, you can just use it. If you don't have anything interesting to add to the actual post itself, you can just write something in the tags like, oh my gosh, this art is cool, instead of like clogging up the actual post itself and making it longer than it needs to be. You can just put it in the tags. And also filtering. If you don't want to see a certain tag, as I have mentioned, or you do want to see a certain tag, then you can either like block that tag or you can follow that tag. Anonymous asks versus non-anons. So there's no shame in blocking non-anonymous hate. So there are 2 different ways you can send an ask, and it's kind of like a little way you can like tell them something without having to directly DM them, and the whole world can see it if they choose to so answer it. An anonymous way is if you flip the little anonymous switch, they won't be able to tell who you are. There will be no way for them to tell who you are unless you somehow give it away, and that can tend to be dangerous because some people actually like threaten people via anons. So some people who don't want that to happen to them or have had it happen to them, they turn their anons off. It discourages majority of people. There's always that one weirdo who will end up doing it anyways, but you know, that's just the real world. And of course there are non-anonymous asks where they can see who you are. They can go to your blog if they wanted to, and you can send them whatever. You can say whatever. If you are anonymous, you can't send images or videos or anything like that. But if you're not anonymous, you can. There are Gimmick blogs. Let me hear it for Gimmick blogs. I love me some Gimmick blogs. So there are, now with the rise of Tumblr polls from last year, there are poll blogs where they have like brackets and tournaments, usually for fictional characters. And they'll have similar like either canon or headcanon traits, like autism swag bracket. Those are like, I know there's white boy swag. Those are like the most notable ones that come to mind right now. I also know that some poll blogs are just meant to be polls. Like I currently follow this one, which is, do you know this band? And you can either say, yes, I know them, no, but I've heard of them, and no. And so I've been scrolling it, and I've actually found a lot of good bands that I didn't know existed, and a lot of genres I didn't know existed, but that's okay. Anyway, poll blogs are a great way to help people find things that they aren't aware of if they so choose. Character blogs. Now, I haven't seen as much of these lately, but in like 2021, I followed a bunch of Sonic characters, like the official Sonic, official Shadow the Hedgehog, official etc, etc, etc. I think there was also official Hatsune Miku, and they can stay in character for literally years. It's very impressive that they are able to do that, and I could never. There are also blogs which we consider gimmick blogs, but they're more like the only bots that we socially accept on the website, because there was in like 2022 to 2023 a surge of bots, porn bots, that started following people, and so all you had to do was block and report. But there's like 1 or 2 bots out there that were made by people to be good, and one of them was the haiku bot. Its main goal is to just read through posts and try to find anything that has a haiku in it, and then it'll repeat the bit that has a haiku, and at the end it'll be like, I'm the haiku bot, I look for haikus, beep boop, and it's cute. I love the haiku bot. And I think there's another one which is a completely AI, and it's actually fascinating how it works, and I think it's like the Nostalgia Brayest autoresponder or something. You can like send it asks and it will respond. There are also random gimmick blogs, one of them being One Time I Dreamt, where you can just submit your dreams, and the lady who runs it, she'll just post it for everyone to see, and you'll be like, wow, somebody actually dreamed that. I have yet to have one of my dreams posted. Another one of these random blogs is Amtrak Official, obviously not run by Amtrak themselves, but it's kind of funny. Another thing is, you're not expected expected to have a bio or a card, but you do want to put your age in your bio because some people have boundaries or 18 plus blogs. Not anything like not safe for work, but like they might write something or draw something that might not be for a particular audience. It can be an estimation if you don't want to be completely honest and tell people your like exact age. You can say something from 15 years old to 17 years old, but if you're going to do something like that, don't include an 18 plus age with it. Oh, I'm 16 to 18, because then it will not work and they'll be like, are you an adult or are you a kid? And they won't fully know and they'll most likely block you. And you also want to have a profile picture 100%, otherwise people will think you are a bot and they will not follow you back. They'll most likely block you too. Tags are for both public use and personal use to keep track of stuff. As I've said, having actual personal information on the social media platform is rare unless they're like a public figure like Neil Gaiman. Don't complain about people being annoying on your posts because they're gonna do it regardless if you say so or not. They do it. People are annoying. Also, if someone screenshots your previous tags, they think you're funny. It's not stealing. It's actually a high honor. It's like they're peer reviewing you. It's a very high honor, and I stole that from a Tumblr user, live blogging my descent into madness. Thank you, Tumblr user, for that description. Anyway, it is basically a peer review. Sometimes the tags can be funnier than the actual post, and you'll see that and you'll be like, why didn't you contribute? It's funny. I'm gonna help you contribute. Also, it's probably best to credit them as well. Put credit to @so-and-so. It's polite, but it's not required. And finally, in Tumblr etiquette, people do not care if you reblog really old posts. They end up circulating around the block anyway. There are posts from 2012 from deactivated blogs that nobody uses anymore that still end up on my dashboard, and I wonder how in the world we got to this place where we're starting to talk about this thing that I saw last year. That I saw the same post last year and we're reblogging it again. And I'm like, okay, fine, reblog. The algorithm and how reblogging works, with help from Tumblr user Maria is Crafting and Tumblr user live blogging my descent into madness. I had to look it up to make sure, double sure how exactly it worked. I had a good idea, but I had to double check. There is no algorithm necessarily, you make it yourself. Every time you reblog, it causes that post to show up on your followers' feed. So your posts are in a chronological order of posts and reblogs from people you follow. And reblogs are better than hearts and likes, obviously. So likes literally do nothing, so it's better you reblog. Comments stay in the reblog chains, and tags only show up on your reblog of that post. Both OP, original poster, and the person you reblogged from get the notification. Nobody else. So nobody like 30 reblogs behind you will get this notification unless they're the original poster. Tags don't go in the body of the post, they go in the special tag area. You can reblog the same thing 10,000 million 100 times because it's common practice and allowed. All it really does is ping somebody notification over and over, hey, this guy's reblogging this. And usually you see it with like funny posts like, I'm gonna bite my followers, and then someone's like reblogging that. So we have discussed the basic etiquette of Tumblr and how it works. So now we're going to do a mini deep dive into its interesting history and meme culture. I obviously can't choose all of them, even though I do love every little bit and meme from Tumblr, but I can't fit that into my video because I'll be talking for forever. So I just chose the ones I felt impacted Tumblr culture the most. Number one being the Dashcon ball pit meme. Originally, Dashcon was called TumbleCon USA, held over the weekend of July 11th, 2014 at the Renaissance Schaumburg Convention Center Hotel in Schaumburg, Illinois. It was meant to be the largest gathering of Tumblr users to date. It focused on works such as Doctor Who, Sherlock, Supernatural, and the podcast Welcome to Night Vale. But as attendees quickly found out, it was poorly planned and it was poorly attended. A vendor left due to poor sales. Minors had been admitted into 18 plus rated panels, and there were also unexpected financial difficulties. Staff were told by the Renaissance Convention Center Hotel that they needed to pay $20,000 up front for the use of the facilities or they'll shut the convention down. So obviously not a lot of great things were going on for them. There was also the ball pit meme. A ball pit roughly the size of a kiddie pool in an empty concession function hall with the notion of an extra hour in it quickly became a meme among attendees and other Tumblr users, inspiring parodies. I have seen multiple artworks where people will put a character from their favorite fandom, like Sans, and they'll just put them in the ball pit, and you'll just think, wow, the Tumblr ball pit. Haha. There was also a video game developer who created Dashcon Simulator 2014, which is a comedic simulation of the convention's ball pit. This kind of meme has kind of just integrated itself into Tumblr culture, and I will occasionally see people referencing it. I was even on Pinterest scrolling, and I saw like fan art of some character, and they were in the ball pit yelling, "My ball pit! My ball pit!" And another person being like, "Get out of the ball pit! Get out! You're stupid." Another part of Tumblr was Superwholock. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If not, buckle in. It was a fictional alternate universe of 3 TV shows: Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock, where they all inhabited the same universe somehow. The Sherlock and Doctor Who shared production teams under the BBC, and they had similar mainstream appeal in the UK. The Supernatural fandom and the Doctor Who fandom did not experience much interaction in the States, however, because while slightly being similar, they were also vastly different at the same time. Sherlock bridged the gap between the two, however. These 3 shows rose to pop culture stardom in 2010. Each show had avid fandoms that eventually joined together to create a larger one, dubbing themselves as Superwholockians. This universe was wide and complex, and the characters would go on many adventures together. Sometimes Sherlock and Doctor Who were lovers. Sometimes they would switch trench coats and trick the 2 Supernatural bros into thinking they were the other person, apparently. It's very hard to pinpoint the origin of Superwholock. Some believe it first appeared in January of 2011, and some claim it was as early as 2010. However, it is generally believed that it originated in 2011, which was when the first ever now deleted post under the Superwholock tag on Tumblr dates back to August of 2011. The concept had initially exploded because Doctor Who's David Tennant bowed out, Sherlock had finished its first season and was between seasons, and Supernatural had wrapped up its 6th season and was coming down from its apocalypse storyline, and people needed to consume more of their favorite fandoms, so they created more things to consume. It had peak popularity for about 4 years, but the aftershocks can be felt for up till now, pretty much, because I'm talking about it, and I wasn't even a part of it. But unfortunately, Dashcon pretty much killed the fandom because of the convention's failure, as we have mentioned previously. Perhaps from embarrassment Tumblr fandom culture sustained in the aftermath of Dashcon. Another very prominent meme out there was the color of the sky. It's not a very long history, but it's also very embedded into Tumblr, you know? On February 2nd, 2012, the image was shared on Meme Center, and 8 days later, it was reposted to 9gag. More than 84,000 views in just a year on that image. On March 6th, 2013, Imgur user I am no tree, I am an int uploaded the image with the title "For artists, writers, etc." using a different typeface for the introduction, replacing the text at the bottom with the question, which one? Nearly 65,000 viewers within 4 days. On March 7th, BoyWonder99 reposted the image to Tumblr, splitting it into several different parts in order to fit a photo set. Within 72 hours, it had nearly 520,000 notes. Due to its vertical length, Tumblr users had found it annoying because you had to, if you were on mobile, you had to scroll past it. If you were on computer, you had to scroll past it. Everybody had to scroll past it. It's like 60 times with once, whatever. Another funny and also interesting meme, and it was also very fascinatingly weird, and I hear it quoted all the time still, and I love this one so much, and that's Spiders George. Bear with me when I read this, because I'm going to read it how it's written. Average person eats 3 spiders a year, factoid, actually just statistical error. Average person eats 0 spiders per year. Spiders George, who lives in cave and eats over 10,000 each day, is an outlier and should not have been counted. Max Laverne, Tumblr. I'll let it sink in for a second. Think about it. It's very profound and also very silly because Spiders George is eating so many spiders, and he doesn't need to be eating that many spiders. It's a humorous post involving a misconception about the average number of spiders accidentally swallowed per year by each human. But this post increased in popularity the following year. The format of the meme has been adapted to other topics as well, which is fascinating how Tumblr works. It will take one thing, and then it will try to apply it to everything that it possibly can until it exhausts it, and then you see it again in 5 years. The meme had more than 90,000 notes on the platform by the end of 2013, and that year, the Daily Dot gave it as an example of Tumblr's truly weird, mematic subculture. In the book Tumblr, authors Ketrin Tildenberg, Natalie Ann Hendry, and Crystal Abaddon used the meme to underscore their argument that Tumblr's impact cannot be well understood through simple mean averages, noting that when one user cited USA Today's estimate that the average user spends a mere 2.5 hours per month on Tumblr, another user responded saying an average person spends 0 hours per month. We who live in caves and spend over 23 hours on Tumblr each day are outliers and should not have been counted. In August 2023, Business Insider referred to Donald Trump as his indictments on 91 felony counts yield the statistic that the mean number of felony charges per president is 2.
Now listen here, my name is Donald Trump, if you're unaware. I am the Spider's George of presidents. I have a lot of indictments. My statistics should not be counted, I'm an outlier.
I'm sorry. A huge subsect, not even subsect, a huge chunk of Tumblr is just interwoven with this thing called Homestuck. What's Homestuck, you may ask? Well, it's an internet fiction webcomic series created by American author and artist Andrew Hussey. And it's very fascinating because I tried to read it and I totally ran out of focus for it because it was so huge. It's the fourth and best known of Hussey's 4 MS Paint adventures. It originally ran from April 13th, 2009 to April 13th, 2016. The plot centers on a group of teenagers who trigger the inevitable destruction of Earth by installing the beta version of an upcoming computer game, Suburb, and I will not tell you any more in case you're interested. There are over 8,000 pages and 800,000 words, which is more than the Bible. There are actually quite a few notable fans of Homestuck, one of them being actor Dante Basco, who was Hook in the 1991 film Hook. This being a fan of it led to a friendship with Andrew Hussey, and he did some voice acting with him as well. Another fan who you might recognize is Toby Fox, who is most known for Undertale and Deltarune, and he is a noted member of Homestuck's official music contribution team. There's another thing on Tumblr which is kind of similar to Superwholock, but with animated movies, and it's so weird to me. I remember seeing things that related to this kind of thing on Girls Go Games, and I didn't understand it, but now I do, because when I played Girls Go Games, I was 7. And now I am almost 17. This thing that I am talking about is Rise of the Brave Tangled Frozen Dragons. It's quite a doozy of a name, but I'm going to say that again. Rise of the Brave Tangled Frozen Dragons. It comprises of 5 movies: Rise of the Guardians, Brave, Tangled, How to Train Your Dragon, and Frozen. Also known as the Spectacular Six because of the amount of characters that was in it or whatever. There was eventually a bunch of other characters added as well as people kind of got crazy with it. The fandom spawned when someone decided to include the 2 sisters from Frozen alongside Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon, Flynn Rider from Tangled, and Kristoff from Frozen, and eventually Merida as well, and a few other characters. There are a few popular ships that they were the first 3 that came up when I looked up popular ships in the Rise of the Brave Tangled Frozen Dragons. Hick Elsa, which is Hiccup and Elsa, Hick Anna, Hiccup and Anna, and Jelsa, Jack Frost and Elsa. And I am most familiar with Jelsa because that was the one that was mostly in Girls Go Games. Another notable and large part of Tumblr history is the Tumblr sexy man. It's a phrase used to describe any popular male character from fandom that is popular among Tumblr users. It's used on characters that are considered subjectively attractive. There are some characters that people are saying, these are the Tumblr sexy men, and I do not agree with it because what? The once-ler from the Lorax is sometimes considered the original Tumblr sexy man because users made him popular and attempted to make him appear more sexy. And I am aware of the once-ler fandom. How bad can it be? Oh, it can get worse, sweetheart. Bill Cipher is also a Tumblr sexy man because he got a humanization art-wise in people's fan art in which he was made into a skinny white boy and became sexy. This is what you are all attracted to. A Dorito. I'm gonna eat him. He tastes bad. A Tumblr sexy man is a character from any sort of media classified as hot by Tumblr, Vanny's Playland. A dedicated wiki, Sexypedia, exists to catalog the various characters given the fandom sexy man treatment, of which Tumblr sexy men are a subset. It may have been between 2013 and 2014 when the idea of Tumblr sexy man took off, as this is when Bill Cipher and Tony the Talking Clock from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared were latched on by the community. When users point out a sexy man, they ultimately compare him to the once-ler since he was the first sexy man. He is the standards for a Tumblr sexy man. There are a few, standardized traits, a list of him. If they are human, they're usually white, skinny, and cis. And if they're not human, they will be drawn as a white, skinny, cis human. They often may have evil or villainous traits or just morally gray because people find morally gray people more attractive. Dapper clothing is either present in canon or given to them in humanizations, such as the once-ler, Bill Cipher, and Tony the Talking Clock, but that's not always the case because you see Sans, he's wearing his little hoodie and his slippers, and that's how people draw him all the time, and that's how people are attracted to him. Shipping tends to happen either with the characters themselves, once-ler and Sans in self-obsessed, once-ler and once-ler, Sans and Sans, because people, I don't know. They also have incest ships with Sans and Papyrus because people are weird and that's what they do. Anyway, they also have cross species like Bill and Dipper. I have other issues with Bill and Dipper, but that's just because Dipper is 12 years old and Bill is a million. So, other issues than just cross-species. I have no issue with that as long as it's fiction. But the age gap. Another trait would be characters will see a boom in ask blogs dedicated to them, where people will send them asks and they will respond as said character. A few examples of Tumblr sexy men over the years are the once-ler, Bill Cipher, Sans, Alistar from Has Been Hotel, and Squidward. That was on the list, I'm not joking. If I'm wrong, don't blame me. There are also Tumblr sexy women and Tumblr sexy people, which is either an overall term or just for a non-binary person. A prominent thing that's happening in the Tumblr sexy men community was the Tumblr sexy men polls, which originally was on Twitter before the polls of Tumblr, obviously. And Tumblr and Twitter have different feelings about each thing. So originally when it was just on Twitter, we thought we were going to have a Reagan sweep, but we had a Sans win, and that killed the queen. Look it up, I'm not lying. Last year, I don't remember who we had. I think it actually was Reagan this year. I don't remember who won Tumblr Sexy Woman. I wasn't really paying attention. I'll put it up here. Wow, so cool, they won? One final thing about Tumblr is they love their anniversaries. One prominent one that most people know is it's October 3rd Mean Girls GIF. And another one is what's your favorite date? And then it's May 25th or something. And people just reblog it on that day, and that's the only day you can reblog it until next year. It's a crazy thing. They also have Neil banging out on the tunes, which is this little possum guy banging out on the tunes, and his name is Neil. And he's awesome. There's also just it's blank day of the week. Reblog this only on this day of the week. The only thing you gotta do, reblog on the day it's supposed to be and move on. You can always, if you miss the day that it's supposed to be on, you can always queue it for the next day that it needs to be reblogged, just so you don't miss out. So now that we've reviewed the basic etiquette and how it works, and also some history about Tumblr. Why should people join? It doesn't really have an algorithm, which means that you have the ability to get bored of it and walk away instead of scrolling through it for hours and hours, not getting any sleep, not getting anything done. You have the ability to be like, okay, my head hurts, bye-bye. Because I do that often. When I'm scrolling through Pinterest, I do that for way too long, and I hate it because I hate myself afterwards. But with Tumblr, I'm usually on there for like 5 minutes, just like seeing what some of my mutuals are saying, and then I'm off. And then I literally don't care about it for the next 5 days, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I have Tumblr, let me check again. The discourse that was mostly associated with it is mostly in the past now. The arguments that happened in the early 2010s that are making the site famous for discourse were usually teenagers versus teenagers at the time, and now they have grown up, they've matured, and they no longer do that kind of stuff. Of course, there are some who will still argue with you, but they're obviously either like extremists or just really mean people. Just block, report them for bullying or whatever if they say something that they actually, I don't know, if they do something that they shouldn't do, block them, report them, whatever. But there's hardly any like serious arguments on there. I think I saw one person arguing about cheese with another person, and that was it. Not serious. You'll be okay. Another thing about this wonderful social media platform, it does not track any of your data whatsoever. Unlike TikTok, where they literally send all of your data to a server in China. TikTok has your GPS location. At all times, they know where you are, man. Like, no joke, I'm not lying. I saw 60 minutes on this. Another thing is they have sharing in community is very much welcomed, with the needing to you have to like reblog constantly and share posts around. It's kind of like a web network where eventually you'll find something that will change somebody's life somehow for some reason. There's also a high percentage of queer, disabled, and people of color on the site using their voices to talk about things and issues. And if that's something that interests you, they don't get censored here, and it's lovely. They can say whatever they want. Most people here are left-leaning, or they're like communists or socialists, and majority of people on the site are not capitalists at all, and I love it, and it's beautiful. Anarchy! And also, it's kind of just sheer chaos. It may be a hellhole, but it is our hellhole, and they have communities for literally everything, like any fandom, any hobby, anything you want to do, will do, have done. They have a community for it. Like, I'm pretty sure there's stuff for like knitting if you're into that. There's definitely stuff for art, fan fiction, fandom, stuff like that. If that's what you're interested in. Few things to watch out for, like on any social media platform. While this one is amazing, they also don't have a lot of censoring. So a lot of people have the ability to express their opinions. So there's TERFs, rad femmes, exclusionaries out there somewhere. I have had an argument with one. There's also people who talk about very sexual things, and if that's not your thing, be careful when you come across that. And there are also, of course, terrible people out there that fall under any ists or phobe categories. I would suggest you don't put your triggers in your bio because somebody might exploit those, and that's advice for literally any form of social media because people are assholes. So be safe, enjoy Tumblr if you plan on using it, and I hope you all have a lovely, wonderful day. I will see you all in the next video. Like, subscribe, fill out that video form below, and bye! Also, I almost forgot to say, follow me on Tumblr.